Hello and good evening. Welcome to the latest episode of the Late Late Show with me, Irish Tommy. This time coming live from my kitchen for the first time. So I've got one of those, those whatever you call those lights. It's just like a strobe light thing, and yeah, it's causing a little bit of glare on poor Tommy's baldy head. So I might see if I can improve the lighting for next week somehow. Hopefully we'll have 𝙃𝙊𝙋𝙀 with us in a little while. He said he'll join us, but he's fashionably late. May have nodded off, to be fair. He's getting on. But we do have this man, Luke, needs no introduction.
Evening.
How are you, mate?
I'm good. I'm good, thank you. It's been a while. I told you before I come on, I've had a West Ham detox since our last game. I think I needed it, to be honest, and now it's all starting to come back. So, right, and let's see if I don't annoy myself. I'll talk about West Ham a bit more tonight, but I'll, sure there's a lot of things to talk about. So, good to see you, mate. Good to be back on.
Yeah, great to have you back. I think you balance me out a bit sometimes. I can get a bit down the dumps. So hopefully you'll be able to balance it out a little bit. So if it was me and Nick on tonight, now it would be just absolute depression.
It's fair enough.
So I said I'll get Luke on, and he'll bring a bit more festivity to it. But we shall see. Maybe I've misjudged. So we're still waiting for 𝙃𝙊𝙋𝙀 for a little bit. Hopefully he will still join us. But before we kind of get cracking, I'm just going to have a quick look in the comment section. So Damien. It's straight in. If you're going to delete my comments, delete all of them. Haven't deleted anything. Don't know what you're talking about, Damien, to be honest. I've just gone live. Freshfielder, welcome. I've had comments go missing when posting early on other channels. Might be a timing thing. Just repost them, Damien. It wasn't me. Nobody's in here deleting anybody's stuff. Okay. We've got Ms. Smith, define boredom. So far, Potterball is what I'm referring to, Miss Smith, and we will come back to that. Usual is in. Welcome, mate. Good to see you. Mark Watson, how are you keeping, mate? Saying evening, Tommy, Luke, and chat. Troj is in. Good to see you, Troj. For weirder, I don't know what that's about. Who else we got in here? Frog in a Well. Great name, by the way. Saying evening to everyone. And I think at the moment that's about it, unless it refreshes. Okay. The first thing, actually, let me get rid of that comment. Sorry, one second. First thing, actually, going to talk about, Luke, is did you see? It's been going around social media today on X. Is Bournemouth have got themselves a nice, fancy new training ground. Have you seen it? It's pretty.
No, the link was posted into West Ham Network group earlier on, and I'm determined not to watch it because it'll only annoy me more. Because I guarantee you it's state of the art. I guarantee you it's everything that a Premier League club should have. It's like bare minimum, basically. But it's apparently it makes you go, oh, that's nice to see Bournemouth for a well-run club who put everything that should be done at the forefront of their club. Well done. That's nice for them. They're doing really well. Have a nice season. Then you're just automatically reminded that we've got porta cabins. So don't get me wrong. There's a part of West Ham will always be West Ham, and it's always a bit of a we can take the piss out of ourselves. We're not always state of the art. We are a working class club. We are like we do have things that we can take the piss out of ourselves for. I think the move just makes everything seem like that shouldn't be that way when you run a certain way. But good luck to them. If it hopefully it doesn't mean that they're gonna. It's going to help them beat us when they play us, but inevitably it will. So it's good up to them. Nice that they've got a well-run club there.
Yeah, it's an interesting one from Bournemouth, isn't it? I mean, the stadium's still tiny.
I love it. By the way, that's before we. Don't
get me wrong. I'm not slagging the stadium by any means.
No.
But it's just interesting that they've decided to plough a few £1 million into a state-of-the-art training facility, normally a club would say, "Oh, geez, fucking stadium needs a bit of update, and we need to, add a tier here and add a tier over here, increase the capacity, get more fans in. We're a Premier League club now." They usually go for upgrading the stadium first, but Bournemouth has gone the other.
I think they like their stadium. I think they genuinely like the way it is because I think that when they got promoted recently, when the last time they got promoted, obviously to get into the league, they were told by the Premier League, I'm pretty sure it was them, that they needed to either temporarily move stadiums or find a bigger stadium or update their capacity because it didn't meet Premier League requirements. And they basically stuck two fingers up at the league. Said, no, we like it the way it is. We're keeping it the way it is. Tough luck. We're going to be playing in the league. What are you going to do about it? Fair play. They stuck to their guns.
Yeah, fair play to them. And probably as well, they maybe with some merit, they could have turned to the Premier League and said, "We're Bournemouth. Where are we getting? We've only got so many fans. We're not a big market club. We're Bournemouth. We have a very loyal, albeit smallish fan base. We could go out here and double the capacity, but we won't fill it. We won't fill a double the size stadium. So there's no point in bloody doubling our capacity because we don't have the fans to put in it. And so, I mean, what are the FA going to say, really, or the Premier League? If the fans aren't there, they're not there. And I think, like you, I think they are better off with a smaller, tidier stadium that creates a great atmosphere. And you don't need 60,000 fans, 50,000 fans, or even 40 to create a great atmosphere. No. What you need is 20,000, like they have ish. 20.
You need a core. You need a core.
You need a core of very, very passionate fans.
Yeah.
In a compact stadium, and that will probably get you a better atmosphere than you'll get in any big stadium with 3 times as many people in it.
See, it's. I remember when our first season in the Europa League, we had that severe game. Oh, here he is. Evening.
Told you, not enough.
Sorry. You got here in the end. That's all that matters. You got here in the end. That stadium can have an amazing atmosphere. It just needs the right situation, the right momentum, and the right football to provide it as it proved. It's just getting it on a consistent basis, which is very, very hard. It is very, very hard, especially with Anyway, over to Gatesy because I know you've been wanting to talk to him for a little while. So
yeah, we were just Gatesy. I don't know if you heard how much of that you heard, Gatesy, but we were just talking about Bournemouth's new state-of-the-art training facility, and how really it's quite shameful, like the way our clubs are. It's not as if we didn't even have to build a new stadium. They got lots of money for selling the stadium we did have, and they're paying a pittance to rent the bowl, and still they can't throw money at the training facilities. It's like the lick of paint, or they put some newer windows in or something, in the port cabins and tidy up a bit, and to put some shrubs in around the place. And that seems to be about the extent of it. It's actually shocking, because I did tweet earlier, I think maybe this morning. It's like we already have a stadium that's regularly voted the worst in the Premier League by visiting fans. And we possibly, I don't know every single club's training facilities. I haven't seen Ipswich's, let's put it that way. I don't know what they're like there. But we very possibly also have the worst training facilities in the Premier League. And there's no excuse for that.
No, I mean, you when you sort of like bring Ipswich into the equation, it's important to remember 2 seasons ago they were in League One. We've been a Premier League club for what? Oh God, what is it now? 14 years, thereabouts. And we've got this fucking shit training facility, like you say, porta cabins. We've got the letter M falls off of the word West Ham. The M falls off, and they go, oh fuck it, we'll just put a W on there and turn it upside down. Hope nobody notices and shit like that. And
An upside down M. Yeah, I remember that bullshit.
Yeah, it's just fucking, like fucking Del Boy runs the club. Do you know what I mean? It's just like complete bollocks and atmosphere. Oh my god, don't get me started on that one. I'm at the point now where I'm actually seriously contemplating whether I get a season ticket next year because I'm just fucked off with being the only person in my block that stands up, tries to bellow out some sort of song to get something going, whatever, and all I get are these cunts with fucking 50-50 scarves just fucking looking at me like I'm mad, right? I'll stand up and I'll bellow out, Irons, waiting for something to come back and just nothing. It's dead. It's dead. And the Leicester game was really the one where I really sort of come away thinking, I'm not sure if I'm coming back next season as a season ticket holder. I think I might pick and choose my moments. Was when we got the goal 2-0 up, probably about 8 or 9 rows in front of me, because I'm right at the back. 8 or 9 rows down in front of me, there was 3, I believe they were Japanese students. Second goal goes in, West Ham v Leicester. And one of them, in full view of everybody, lifts up his hoodie and reveals underneath a fucking Brighton top. And nobody around him challenged him. Nobody batted an eyelid. He was jumping up and down and he was like, oh yeah, look at that, I'm a Brighton fan. It's like, what the fuck are you doing here, mate? And even if sort of like you accept the fact and you sort of say, oh, well, he's going to watch a game of football. Okay, fine, but why would you go into a Premier League ground wearing the top of a team that isn't fucking involved in the game that's unfolding in front of them?
A different culture. It's a different like I'm not being I don't actually begrudge anyone going to see a football game. Right, I'll hands down. If you want to go and see a football game, go. Like, I'm not going to hate anyone. The trouble is that my whole crux of it is that I believe the owners want a good atmosphere. I believe the owners want to have their cake and eat it. So they want a massive stadium and they want the good atmosphere. The trouble is when you're letting people in who aren't going to create an atmosphere, right? You then can't really moan that there's no atmosphere because, as we all know, people go to watch Premier League football games, right? I would actually honestly, this is the one question I want to ask the tourist fan, right? If you've gone to a game, I don't begrudge you want to see a game of football, fair play, enjoy yourself, right? But the whole crux of it, I presume, is when it's advertised to go and see a Premier League game, it could be one of the things because of the atmosphere. The English Premier League's atmosphere is almost as class as unique, right? So what do these fans think when they go to a game and they go, oh, we're watching a game of football, but the atmosphere is dead? Like if you went to I don't know, it's like a Dortmund game, right? You know about the yellow wall, you know about the iconic atmosphere, right?
Yep.
If you go to Anfield, you go and sing, the song, I can't remember it now. You never walk alone. But if you're going to thinking, I've been sold that the Premier League is amazing, are they genuinely enjoying themselves throughout the 90 minutes? Because the Brighton thing doesn't surprise me. It doesn't even annoy me at this point because it's like it happens so often. The stewards aren't going to care because they're on minimum wage and whatever they are.
Well, they're all fucking Arsenal fans.
It's not their job to care anyway. It's their job to stop people bringing in,
They cared at Upton Park.
So, well, this is it. But this is the change of stadium. This is the whole change of it. But it's like, constantly, the atmosphere is not very good at West Ham. It's West Ham fans' fault because I don't sing loud enough. No, because there's where I sit, Casey, is in the Billy Bonds stand at the top, right? And by just the tier that's right next to the bottom or lower, I've seen it recently. Maybe the last 5, 6 games. There's a group of West Ham fans that are clearly trying to sing loud and trying to encourage people around them to sing. And I feel really sorry for them because no one around them sings. Even they're actually singing louder than the Bobby Moore lower, who are notoriously the ones that start all the singing off, especially around that side of the stadium. And even they're like quieter than them. So if you're in that group and you're watching this video, fair play to I've got all respect in the world for you. Just tell you another thing that kills it as well. Just want to say this before I start ranting. The rib man. The rib man used to bang his leg against the stand that was in front of him in the disabled section, I believe it is.
Yeah.
To create like a drum effect, right? That used to create something. That used to create. I remember that they used to create a ripple effect. It would create something. Even if it was just like a minute, 2 minutes, it used to create something. And the last time I saw him do it, he had stewards going up to him and talking to him, and I presume what they were asking to do was to stop doing it.
Yeah.
And me, you know, I sit with my old man and something like that. And saying, he's trying to create. He's not hurting anyone. He's just trying to create something. He's not even in a seat. There's no one in front of him for him to obscure their view because he's not in front of anyone in that vicinity. And all he's doing is trying to create an atmosphere, and it was creating an atmosphere, and they stopped that. So it's like another thing that he hasn't done it since. I've not heard it once, and I'm pretty sure as well, which is making my experience worse, is there's someone with one of them chickens. You know, you squeeze the chickens and it squeaks. I swear he does that every game, and it's pissing me off as well. But yeah, I'd like to ask a fan who goes in a half and half scarf, and who goes there just to see a Premier League game, what they actually think of the atmosphere. Are they impressed? Do they get what they expect, or are they underwhelmed? Because I would actually like to know. I really would.
Yeah, the atmosphere, like I say,
Yeah,
little by little, it's dwindling.
Yeah, it's not getting. But then I think there's a part of me. I think there's because it's defensive football. What we've seen since for the last 2, 3, maybe 4 years is because we're not attacking much. You respect the fact that you're defending, right? That we defend for a reason, whatever. But really, what gets the crowd going is by attacking, by creating opportunities. When you don't constantly create opportunities or try and score goals, inevitably it's going to take that adrenaline rush away from you, and that creates another problem as well. It's a style of football, but yeah, that's a whole different topic. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, the stadium doesn't help either. I mean, it's not designed for football. There's a disconnect between the fans and the club now, I feel. I think GSB over the last number of years have just been destroying the club and ripping the soul out of it. You know, the stadium isn't a football stadium, doesn't feel like one. It makes it very difficult to create any kind of atmosphere, with some exceptions. There have been maybe a handful of games, probably since we moved there in 2016, where you could say, yeah, the atmosphere on a particular night was excellent, but it was usually circumstances. You know, it was a huge deal, the game, and everyone was really like massively up for that game. But a handful of times in a few years, it's not in 9 years now. It's just not good enough, you know.
No.
And I'm not sure if there's a solution. I mean, they built a wall up in between away fans now, on the home side, and there's like big giant bloody wall there. You can't even see it. I mean, you can't even have banter now with the away fans or anything. It's just, and like I said, the stewarding has been horrendous. Now, it's not as bad as it was initially, but if you remember, that initial stewarding was absolutely crazy. Clearly, these were stewards who'd never stewarded a football match before, didn't know what they were doing. They were telling people to sit down. You couldn't, the club have done a lot, or Sullivan and his cohorts have done a lot really to put us in the situation we're in right now. The stadium just does not help. Like I went last season, I was at about 4 games. As you know, I have to travel from Ireland, I have to fly over. Saying I was at about 4 games last season. This season I haven't bothered, quite frankly. I mean, first of all, the football was awful under Lopetegui, and frankly, it's not been much better to watch under Potter. It's incredibly boring, very dull, and it just doesn't make me want to. There's just so much about it right now that makes me think, well, why would I spend that much time and effort and money traveling to London for this? I don't like the stadium. The style of play is utterly mind-numbing, and I just feel disconnected a bit from the whole thing, to be completely honest. And I'm at the point now where I'm thinking for next season, see if I can somehow go through some away games. because I think that's where you will still get the proper West Ham fan experience, is if you go to an away game. So if I can manage tickets
Definitely.
for West Ham away from home, then I think that could be an absolutely brilliant day, regardless of result, because it's just the whole experience of the day with a small, close-knit group of away fans who are just very, very vocal, where you can still get that sense of atmosphere and that sense of belonging. So that's what I might even do next season. I just have no desire to go to the London Stadium, frankly, Gatesy.
I'll be honest, I much prefer the away atmospheres. I mean, I was lucky enough, second season in a row it's happened actually, that I managed to luck out in the ballot and get tickets for Goodison Park. So obviously this was the last time we'll ever play at the Grand Old Stadium that Everton currently play in. And the atmosphere, with what 3,000 fans generated, I believe was superior to that we get at 62,000 in the stadium on a match day at London Stadium. We were vociferous. We was making noise. It was creating an atmosphere. There was a little bit of banter. I remember there was a guy that was sat in the stand behind one of the goals, quite a big chap sort of thing, and he was getting a bit of stick for being a fat bastard and whatever. And typical Scouse humour. He was playing up to it. He was standing up. He was lifting up his hoodie and sort of like waving his belly around in the air, and there was a bit of back and forth, but it was all good-natured banter, and it helped to create the atmosphere and all that. You don't see that sort of thing going on at the London Stadium at all. The atmosphere at away games is far, far superior. I was gutted. I've been offered tickets for the Wolves game on Tuesday night. Due to my work commitments, there's just absolutely no way I can make it happen. But if I could, I'd have been there like a shot, because it's such an antidote to the bland atmosphere that is served up at London Stadium. It's just shit, and it's been getting steadily worse by the season. And you say about the atmospheres can be good, and we can generate a good atmosphere. Obviously, I remember the Seville game. The first game after lockdown against Leicester. There have been examples, but they have been the exception rather than the rule. And I would suggest that how long we've been in that stadium now? Since 2016, so it's 9 years now, right? I think if you actually stopped and thought about it and said really, really sort of like great atmospheres, fantastic atmospheres, if you actually sat back and thought about it, you're probably struggling to sort of get into double figures. That's shocking.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And, I think obviously the style of play as well can play into it a bit.
Yeah.
I think there have been times where the football's been a bit better, where it's easier to get on board, I think, with more attacking, expensive style of play. Of course, you need to be playing well too. Even if you're playing more expensive attacking, you're getting beat 3-0. It's still no fun, is it? But yeah, at times the actual style of play of the football hasn't helped, which kind of leads into the main topic of this evening, which is, I don't know if you saw the thumbnail, Gatesy. It says, "I hope you like boredom."
I've seen the title. I haven't seen the thumbnail.
Yeah, so here's where I am, and Luke's going to push back a bit, thankfully, because I want to be wrong and I want Luke to be right. So,
no, you don't.
No, it's a lie.
No, I really, really do. I can't do this next season. I can't. So, Potter's come in, and I think, we were always saying, okay, between now and the end of the season, it's like an extended pre-season for him. It's perfect for him. He gets to have a really good look at all the players, the squad. By the time summer comes around, he knows exactly what he's got. He'll know what kinds of players he wants to bring in and which positions, which players he wants to move on, which players he wants to keep. So it's perfect for him. And it's almost, when you get those games where you're like, oh, this game's a free hit. It's almost like this whole end of the season for him is a free. It was like 18 games or something. It's literally 18 free hits really, where he won't really be judged by the West Ham fan base at all, apart from some exceptions. But I think the majority of the fan base will say, all right, look, next season's when we're going to really find out. And I'm okay with that, despite everything I'm going to say. Just for clarity, I am not Potter out whatsoever, okay? That's not what I'm saying. I just have concerns. I'm just saying I have concerns. So it baffles me that the football is so boring, because one of the excuses I hear is, oh, well, just when he gets some of his own players in the summer. It's like, no, I'm sorry. We have a good team. On paper, you look at the players, the squad, we've got a good team. I don't see any reason with the team that he's got available to him why he couldn't play a better brand of football. It makes no sense to me. I'm not sure what kind of players they think he's going to bring in the summer that all of a sudden we're going to become much more expansive. We have players there who can be expensive. Granted, Somerville is a loss out on the left, and he has had his injury problems. So early on, I was like, okay, you've had some bad luck. You're coming in mid-season, players start dropping like bloody flies as soon as you arrive. And I was like, yeah, fair enough. We can't. And I completely agreed with him that his first job was to try to get us more defensively solid, so we weren't getting spanked all the time. And because if you have to score 3 goals just to have a chance of winning, I mean, what chance do you have really from week to week? You know what I mean? So I understand the defense needed sorting, and we had to stop leaking goals to where we were. But I'll be honest with you, I thought he was going to do that through coaching. I thought he was just going to coach the players to defend better, get them better positionally, get them better as a unit, helping each other out, get them set up correctly to defend. And I'll be honest with you, and this is the first point, I just want to address this point only before we get on to the broader question of the style of play. And I'm going to be this is going to be harsh, and I'm just going to say it. I think I could have gone in there and had us concede less goals by playing as many defensive players as possible and getting everyone in and around the 18-yard box. I think I could have gone in and say, right, we're just going to play 3 centre-backs, 2 wing-backs, 2 defensive players in front of them, and then just everyone behind the ball, sit deep, low block, throw yourself in front of everything, close down, work hard. Yeah, shock horror, we're conceding less goals. I'm just really disappointed in the way he's done it. To me, he's done it in the most lowbrow way possible that probably didn't require a huge amount of actual coaching. These are professional footballers. If you tell them sit in a low block and defend, they'll pretty much know how to do that, because it's not rocket science when you're sitting that deep and you've got that many players between our opponents and the goal. It makes it very difficult for any opponent to try and create space, openings, opportunities when everyone is in and around the 18-yard box. That's the first. Before I move on to the general style of play, whichever one of you wants to take me up on that or disagree, agree, whatever, I'm very disappointed that he seems to have just taken this lowbrow way of conceding less goals. And we have a lot of people in our fan base that are saying, oh, he's done brilliantly, lads. Hasn't he done great? We're not conceding goals like we were. Well, of course we're not. Everyone's behind the fucking ball in a low block.
He's not happy, is he, Luke?
He rarely is, to be fair. I'm joking. Just on that point, right? I get that it's an easy thing to say. Well, we're conceding less goals with low block. It's a given because we're defending, so we're going to concede less goals. We did concede a record amount of goals under Moyes playing low block. So there's a difference between doing it right and doing it wrong. I'll kind of get my point over as quick as possible because I know what I'm like. I can drag on. But if everyone remembers the first game of Potter, when he had like 24 hours to get the team ready for the FA Cup game against Aston Villa away, right? And he played the wing-back system, and it was all refreshing. We looked a hell of a lot more structured. We had twice as much of intensity. It was all like a new, fresh team, even despite the fact it was with the same players, right? And within the first half, 2 players go down injured. And I think there's a part of him that he wants to play that way all the time. The high intensity football we saw in the first half against Aston Villa. And I think he quickly maybe went, do you know what? I've tried to play that way. And I've quickly got 2 injuries to Somerville and Fulgrim. And maybe that's made him a bit scared to go, I don't want to lose any more players like that. I don't want to lose any two good players who could do well for it. So maybe he's held back a bit. He's looked at the training every day going, right, we're going to up intensity. We're not do it overnight. We're going to do the intensity as a long running thing so the players get used to it over a while, right? And I'm not saying I'm bored of the style of play. But with me, I'm not going to sit here and say I understand it because it's a modern way of playing. It's not just us that play this. It's almost like a cultivated system throughout the football leagues. You won't find many teams not playing this way. It's almost like a generic thing that everyone plays it. If you don't play this way, you're playing a different style, right? That's how generic it is. But this isn't his team, right? And the thing that I think people are kind of forgetting is the fact that it wasn't even Lopetegui's team. Lopetegui had about 2 players out of the whole squad from the system. It was one. He'd have one go with his player. There'd be a Steidham player, and there'd be a Sullivan player. So it's all of it like a mix and match of all players that probably didn't fit the system at all. Our midfield is not quick enough. Our midfield has got 0 pace in it at all, right? So what we're basically doing is going, right, the wing backs have got to work for us and so have the forward players. But they're not even that quick. You've maybe got Bowen and Kudus on their day who could probably be quite quick. But apart from that, we've got a very static midfield who basically the most convenient thing for our midfield to do is to just sit back and defend. And then when we get the ball, almost play a counter-attack style, but give it straight to the attackers because otherwise we've not really got an outlet. Alvarez is, as much as I love Alvarez's endeavour and intensity, when he sprints, he's like he's running in treacle. As much as I love him and the fact that he was playing up front practically the last game we had because I don't know, the intensity was really good early on, and then we could have scored in the first minute and then it died out against Newcastle. I think it was, wasn't it? I know this whole thing where some managers it's a new manager bounce where they get a lot out of the same players that the previous manager couldn't, and that highlights what the other manager wasn't doing that this manager is now. But I think there's also the other part of it. And this is the thing that I think fans get a little bit lost, and we try not to think this because that would kill our love for the game as it is. It is also a business, right? And if he's walking in and he's saying to the owners, this is a pre-season. I want to play some expensive football and give the fans something to enjoy for the remainder of the season. And they go, hold on, we're currently 14th. If you get us to 13th, that's another couple of million in the bank for the summer. And he's going, oh, yeah, you're right. So if he plays defensive football and we win the game 1-0 and we go up a place, that's another couple of million for the transfer key. That's not us. That's not the way West Ham fans think, because West Ham fans want to see wins, and we want to see goals, and we want to see good football. But the owners are going.
14 when we took over.
Right.
We've gone down 2 places.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's not really worked out.
What's it done for us?
No, but the plan.
Just fucking go and play some football, have a go, and fucking entertain.
Yeah,
fans.
but
we're not going down. We're not qualifying for Europe. Fuck David Sullivan and his extra couple of million. We've gone down 2 spots.
That's his boss. That's his boss. That's the guy who's saying him the job to do. Look, I'm with you, Tommy. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see him go, do you know what? I've got nothing to lose. We're probably not going to get relegated this season. So let's go and get the fans on me. Let's get the fans behind me. Let's get the fans, the atmosphere fantastic. Let's just stop playing 𝙃𝙊𝙔𝙀 from the start because Kudus isn't playing very well. Or let's do whatever. I'd love to see it. I would love to see it. But there's a part of me that thinks, do you know what? Until we get the summer, and until he can bring in the players 100% that he wants, because that's the reason why we brought in his mate from Brighton to go and bring in the players, wherever he wants to go, and completely change the style of play in the system. Because you bring in a few quick players in that midfield, and the whole system changes completely overnight almost, because you've got quick players and they can change a lot. It's like he had at Brighton with was it Casado and who was the other geezer who went to Spurs?
Bissouma.
Yeah, that's it, right? You bring in some youthful exuberance in that midfield, changes everything overnight, right? He is a bit square pegs in round holes, right? But
can I say one thing?
Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
Look, I get it. I really want to be wrong about Potter. I think this is This is Potter. He's had enough time to work with the players, get them playing the way he wants them to play. Sure, he can bring new players in the summer. And I really hope that the fans are saying it'll be completely different next season, are right. But I'm not convinced whatsoever. In his third season in charge at Brighton, third season. So this is not, it's not his team, right? This was his team at Brighton, 3 seasons in to his tenure. In 2 separate periods of that season, they went 3 months without scoring a goal from play at home, from open play at home. In a separate period, that same season, they went 3 months without winning a game at home. So that's his third season at Brighton with supposedly his players. Now, I don't know if any manager at Brighton has their players. I'm not sure that's how they do things. But that's the worry. The worry is that he is essentially just another Gareth Southgate. How England didn't hire him, he looks perfect for England to me. Exactly what they're looking for. Someone who's grateful to be in the job, who's a pragmatist, who'll be a yes man.
There is that.
Very good with the media, who'll say all the right things. I can't believe they didn't hire Potter. I don't know if they interviewed him, but I imagine they would have loved him. He's just, to me, he just looks like Southgate 2.0. I'll be honest. Again, if I'm proven wrong next season, I will be back on my show here someday and I'll say, oh man, I got that wrong. But right now, I just don't see why it would be so completely different with 3 or 4 different players. I think we've got really good players in the team who can play good football and who can play better than what we're doing, and where we can get more than 2 shots off or 2 or 3 shots off in a game. I'm just not sure why he's doing this when it seems completely unnecessary to be doing this where he's got literally nothing to lose. Even David Sullivan is not going to judge him this season. He's just not. He's going to get the summer transfer window, and he's going to get next season as starting.
Well, David Sullivan has judged him already because he's not his pick. He's Karen Brady's pick, so he's already wanting into foul.
David Moyes was David Gold's pick. Sullivan didn't want David Moyes.
But just for argument's sake, Tommy, I actually do agree.
Sorry, Luke. Sorry, but let me address this because Miss Smith, I don't think she likes me. But anyway, never mind. You're still welcome, and I will still read any tweets that are critical of me. Says, you moan about the atmosphere. Yeah, of course, the atmosphere is fucking dreadful. And the tourists, yeah, there's a lot of tourists in the Premier League now at games. It's not just a West Ham thing, by the way. And if you have a lot of tourists in the ground who are just there to experience a Premier League match, obviously that's not going to help you to generate atmosphere. I admit to going to only 4 games last season. Yeah, I don't know if you know this, Miss Smith. I live in a foreign country. And I have a job. I don't have the luxury of being a millionaire with nothing but time and money, so that I can travel weekly over across the sea to games. So I'm not sure why you're criticizing me for having only been to 4 games last season. I'm not sure what the point of that is. And you say it's because we don't win enough. For me, it's going to West Ham has never been about whether or not we're winning a lot of games. Never been about that. I've been to lots of West Ham games that we've lost, but they've been cracking games, and I've actually been quite entertained. And while I've been disappointed that we've lost or even drawn the game, I wasn't there because we were winning lots of games. I was there because we were playing really good football, and it was entertaining, and it was attacking, and we were playing some really nice stuff. It was never been about whether or not we're winning games. I don't stop going if we're in a bad run of form. Like if I like the way we're playing, the style of play, I'll go to games. Nobody knows the result before they go anyway. You can't accuse someone, oh, you only go when we're winning. The only way I know if we're going to win is when the final whistle goes and what the score is then. So it's not about winning. Nothing to do with winning. Yeah, the atmosphere is horrendous in the stadium. And I actually think there's a wider Premier League issue as well with atmospheres. I think the Premier League has gotten more boring in general. And I think a lot of these Premier League games you watch now are more like games of fucking chess, where people are playing possession for the sake of having possession.
I think football's got boring, Tommy.
But yeah, the reason I want to experience an away game is because since we left Upton Park, I haven't really experienced that kind of really electric, crazy atmosphere. And from what I can see, the West Ham away fans still generate that real buzz. And if you go to a really great ground as well, where that does, like for next season, like if I'd love if Leeds come up, I would love to go to Elland Road, because I think, Elland Road is a place that does generate still an amazing atmosphere. They've got a great fan base, Leeds. They're very vocal, very passionate, very loud. As an away fan, at Elland Road, I think that would be an amazing experience that you simply cannot and will not get at the London Stadium. I'm sorry. So, Miss Smith, if you don't understand that, I don't know what to tell you, but that's the answer to that question. Sorry, I kind of took you off track there, Luke. But
so I was yeah, I personally have the same fear as you, Tommy. Actually, I know. But my point is if I'm being too harsh, and what the alternative could be, because I do.
Well, do you think we'll go from like this really boring, pragmatic pass, sideways, backwards, into something really exciting next season? Are you really expecting like a turnaround of philosophy?
The only hope I have, like I said to you, the only hope I have is the fact that if we play like we did against Aston Villa in the FA Cup for that first half, because if that is anywhere like what he wants to play in general, I'm all for it. The thing is, I don't know if West Ham fans have thought about this long, but Potterball is like a carbon copy of most managers, I think, now in the league. Most teams play position-based football, especially in the Premier League, because they're all too scared to lose. Everyone's too scared to lose. They don't want to go down. This is why most teams in the Championship who come up go down again, because the money's not there, and they want to play safe football. There's a few out there that will be different. I think it's ironic, really, because Man City have probably been the most successful team in the league for the last 4 or 5 years. But I think most people, if you asked them, they'd rather watch is Liverpool. I think Liverpool have been a bit more direct, they're a bit more faster, but then the argument will be is that Klopp was there and he changed the philosophy, and they spent loads of money on players, so they've had that thing. West Ham at a minute, it seems to be that we keep trying to be saved. We haven't got that structure where we've finished 8th, and we've got Europe, and we've got this, and we've got that. We haven't got player by player. We've probably got quite a good team, but overall, I think we're a little bit. We keep needing to be saved. We're not a team where a manager walks in and I was against Moyes, but Moyes done really well with what he had. He pissed me off in the end, and that's why I wanted him out. Frustrated me for exactly the same thing as Potter and Lopetegui in the end. But I'm just saying that I'm not gonna. There's many factors as to why. I saw that earlier.
What the fuck are Corky and Pips?
I have no idea. I kind of want to try one of his food. It's just that
I'm proving your point. But I have no idea. Placenta.
You've really annoyed it up, mate. Little them. Sorry.
Hey, is that even a criticism? How many people actually know about those things? Probably not many, is it? It seems very specialist. Miss Smith definitely doesn't like Tommy. So.
Anyway, I'll let Gates talk now, because I've talked too much about it. I've pretty much got my opinion across, so there you go. That's my bit.
All right, look, let me get this over and done with. Let me get this over and done with. She keeps saying I'm not answering her first question. So here it is. Define boredom. Boredom is creating no chances. Boredom is not getting any shots on target. Boredom is 11 men behind the ball, and then when you do get possession, just keeping it for the sake of keeping it, passing it a little bit forward, going from the keeper out to the wing back, across to the centre back, into the midfielder, out to the winger, back to the fucking wing back, across to the centre back, out to the other wing back. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm sorry, Miss Smith, but have you been watching West Ham this season? And I'll forget Lopetegui, he's gone. Under Potter, have you been watching our last few games? Because I have to, it seems sometimes like you're arguing with me just like it's personal. Like you just don't like me and you're just going to argue with everything I say. So you tell me, Miss Smith, when you've been watching us the last few games, have you found it to be entertaining? I won't even say exciting. Have you found these games to be entertaining to watch? Have you been thinking, yeah, look, we didn't get any really shots off, but that's okay. I mean, who likes goals and attacking and shots? I mean, if you're arguing with me about the boredom thing and to the point where you want me to define it, then tell me, are you excited? If you don't know, I'm guessing pretty much everyone in the chat understands what I'm talking about when I say our games have been boring. They've been fucking snore fests. Unless Gatesy, I'm wrong. I mean, I'm not trying to mouth Gatesy. Like anyone, anyone else in the chat, tell me, like, if you think the way we've been playing has actually been like exciting and entertaining and really good to watch. Am I missing something?
I think it's a symptom of modern football, to be honest with you. I find a lot of modern football quite boring. And maybe I'm an old fart and maybe I'm from a relic from a bygone era. But, 15, 20 years ago, the football, in my opinion, was much more. Now you've got, I mean, don't get me wrong. Look, Pep Guardiola is a great, great coach. But I've got to be honest, I don't really enjoy watching Man City play a lot of the time. It's a lot of passing for passing's sake.
What's she on about? She's really on a roll tonight. Apparently, as a club, we've always played boring football, Gatesy. Apparently, she can't think of a single time where West Ham have not been boring to watch. Like, give me a break. Like, come on.
How long have you been watching? How long have you been watching West Ham? I would be my.
Miss Smith, were you around in 15, 16? Like,
1985, 86.
Stop being
the early 80s, late 70s. Sorry, I don't accept West Ham have never been an entertaining club. I think going back in years, many years, we was considered to be the old tagline, everybody's second team, because we was a team that every now and again would give a bigger team a bloody nose. We tried to play football in the correct manner. We probably conceded more goals than we scored a lot of the time. That's fine. We were probably just as likely to lose a game 4-3 as we were to win it 4-3.
Like the Bradford game. Remember?
Yeah, that? 5. I was there for that. 4-2 down, and then we win it 5-4. That game had everything. So I don't accept that we've always been a boring team. I think we've been a tough team to watch over the last 5 years, thereabouts, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Under Moyes, then Lopetegui and Potter. I mean, Potter, I'm not really judging at the minute because I accept that, with the exception of Evan Ferguson, this is not his team. One thing I will say that I've been quite pleased with is the fact that he's included Oliver Scholes. He's managed to put him in the first team. Hats off to him for that. That absolutely goes down a bundle with me because I'm a big advocate of the youth team and all the rest of it, as everybody knows. But I do accept that the football is on the pragmatic side. I'll be quite fair and put it like that. We did need to sort of do something about the defence that was leakier than a sieve, and he's managed to do that.
But I mean, let's say he now has the opposite problem, right? Granted, he came in, we were leaking too many goals. We all know that. He came in, first thing you have to do is stop conceding so many goals. Fair enough. Don't think any West Ham fan would disagree with that. But if he was coming in now, let's say he was joining now, he'd be saying, wouldn't he, the opposite. He'd be saying, solid defensively, don't concede too many, but we've got to start finding a way to create more chances and score more goals. Chance creation just isn't good enough. And he'd probably be coming in trying to do something about that. So I can't understand why we're not seeing it, where there isn't this self-diagnosis of, okay, we've stopped so many goals going in, but we now have to find a way to start creating chances and scoring some goals. And so far, I'm not really seeing it. And whenever it seems to be put to him by a journalist, the issues that we're having with chance creation and goal scoring, that it's all a bit pragmatic. He gets a bit defensive, seems to get a little bit pissy about the question being put to him. So he has to be aware of it. And so we have a handful of games left, and I just really need to see something more other than, we don't concede many, but we don't score any. Because, like I say, it's not doing much good for us. I mean, we were in 14th when he took over from Lopetegui. We're 16th now. So I just don't quite understand why he's being so super pragmatic when there's no real need to. We're not going to get dragged into the relegation zone. The 3 teams that are in the bottom 3 now are the 3 that are going to go. They're all really poor. We're not going to qualify for Europe. I just don't understand why he wouldn't already be going to that next phase, which is, okay, I've stopped the goals going in. Now we have to work on how we create opportunities, get shots off and goal and score. But every week I'm waiting to see this, this evolution. And it's like, it's just not happening. And I think it might be a little bit of cope from some of our fan base who are like, oh God, this is like really boring. This is bad to watch. But, when he gets some of his own players in, next season will look really different. I'm not convinced. I'm just not convinced. I think with the players we have, we could and should be better going forward. So I just worry that we won't see it, Gatesy, basically. I don't know. Are you more optimistic than me? I know Luke is more optimistic than me.
I think I'm probably sandwiched in between the pair of you guys. I'm like I say, I'm giving him a pass so far. I think that my judgment on Graham Potter will come. Okay, what sort of players does he bring in the transfer window? Is he bringing in young, hungry, dynamic players that I think are going to be, able to improve us in terms of our style of play, in terms of the entertainment value, in terms of the results, all of those things? Does it then translate to, because let's be honest, I think a lot of people were quite amazed with the transfer business we did last summer, myself included. And it doesn't really sort of like, a lot of the players that we brought through the door haven't worked out. 𝙃𝙊𝙋𝙀 hasn't worked out. 𝙃𝙊𝙑 hasn't worked out. Rodriguez hasn't worked out. On and on you go. There's a handful of players that have impressed. There's other players that have been a bit in and out, like Somerville. Part of that is down to injury. I get that. But that's when I'll judge Potter. At the minute, I'm sort of like, I'm going, look, it's not the most entertaining football, I'll grant you. But a lot of those players are old. A lot of those players are not really suited to the Premier League. They're not good enough. Or in the case of players like Mohamed Kudus, he wants to go. I think that's fairly apparent. Lucas Paqueta, he's obviously got bigger fish to fry than football. He's playing with his mind on other things elsewhere. Good luck to him. But yeah, I'm a little bit more philosophical. I'm a little bit like, okay, look, let's get this season out of the way. We're not going to get relegated. We're not going to qualify for Europe. Exactly what you say. Yes, I would like to be entertained, and I think that you're right in what you say, Tom, in that because we're not going to get relegated, we're not going to qualify for Europe. So why not let the handbrake off? I'm just not convinced that that's his style.
Yeah, I just don't think he's an attacking-minded coach. I think he's a pragmatist. I think he's another Gareth Southgate. That's my honest opinion. And it's not. And let's be honest, Potter is not just some unknown manager that just arrived at West Ham in January, and we don't know anything about him. That's the other thing. When we signed him, I was underwhelmed. I won't lie. I thought this was exactly what we were going to get. It was no different to me, really, than getting Southgate. I think pragmatists to the core, defensive, kind of safety first kind of managers. And so far, that's what I'm seeing. Now, again, look, I'm not calling for the man's head. He hasn't been here long enough. Just for clarity, no, because I'll get accused of it.
I know, but you would do because that's yeah.
I'll get accused of being Potter out by people, like, even though I've never said that.
No,
I
but
think
just having
he should get the summer transfer window, and he should be here as our manager at the start of next season. I'm just worrying out loud. Let's put it that way. That what we're seeing now is largely what we're going to see next season: a team that defends deep, keeps possession quite well, doesn't really go anywhere with it, creates very few chances, scores very few goals, and wins or loses 1-0. Most weeks.
Tommy, just out of interest, like this is what I'm saying, because it's caught me off guard as well. I'm underwhelmed with the way things are now, and I'll go back to it again. I know it's going to bore some people, but the way we played against Aston Villa in his first game is night and day compared to what we're like now. And I'm just wondering, if he's not that way inclined, why did we play like that way in the first place then? Where did that come from? Was it him just trying to get the players on side, get the fans on side? Is it if you're not that way inclined, why even tell the players to play that way? Why even look that structured? Why look that exciting? Because I watched a lot of YouTube videos where people were gonna boycott and stuff and protest before Potter was announced as manager. Then he got announced. Then that game happened, and even though we lost the game, I remember coming onto various YouTube channels and watching it, and people were saying, "I want to get a new season ticket. I want to come back. I want to start watching your games again," because it gave them that feel-good vibe again. It was like an overnight change where everything seemed to be hunky-dory.
But that's the thing, Luke. It was literally overnight. I mean, I don't know if he even had a training session with the players.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. How much of an impact did he actually have, and how much of what we witnessed in that game was actually more the players trying to impress the guy in the dugout?
Right. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that could be it. You never really know until these players fucking retire and they go onto a podcast and they tell everyone else that in about 20 years' time. So unfortunately, we'll probably never know. But he seemed to be enjoying it at the time, so I can't. He could be. Then I'm saying, okay, he could be. I think for me, I understand where he's coming from, but it's on what annoys me more, and what has annoyed me more about him was the fact that he seemed to have had the longest period of time without games, including when Moyes was manager and when and come back the next game after and not produced. So the Brentford game at home, we lost 2-0 or whatever it was. We could have been 5-0 down at half time. I believe he had like 2 weeks or a week and a half before that game started. He had all that time to prepare, and then we played as if we hadn't prepared at all, or we prepared for completely the wrong game. And it was like, you've had to play for 2 weeks. Like, what have they been doing on that training ground to look this bad in the first 30 minutes? We could have been 2-0 down in 10 minutes. And I remember just going, I'm not getting this back, but what have they been doing for 2 weeks? Like, I don't know if we're one of these clubs where, they said it when Moyes was manager, that we actually liked the quick turnaround of games. It was better for us to get the fitness up. There was less injuries because the players were playing so much that there wasn't the time to slow down, and the recovery time was just boom game. Now it seems to be we've got a long interview before a game, and it'd be very telling against Wolves, because again we've had a period of no games, and you need to see some sort of as if we know what we're doing. I don't really mind personally what style we play.
I do.
Let me finish. I don't mind realistically what style we play, as long as we do it well, right? I respect it, right? So we beat Leicester 2-0, whatever, and it was one of the most boring games in the world. No one liked it. It wasn't a game to watch, to enjoy it. I'm a West Ham fan. I want us to do well. If we win games, and I'm not happy, fuck what I want. To be honest with you, right? I'll moan about it and I'll scream about it and I'll shrug my shoulders and I go, I ain't going again, right? But that's my fault. That's my problem. I've got to get over it. Well, if West Ham are going to win all 4 trophies, do the quadruple every year, and play absolutely shit football, I won't like it. I won't back it, but I'll respect it, because I want West Ham to do well and be a successful club, right? But that game was like we didn't have to get out of second gear against Leicester, and it was almost like we'd lost the game because the performance was that dull and that bad, and Leicester were that shit. And I think when you look at it, you're thinking, well, most you've got other clubs who are probably going to put 4 past them. I think Brentford went away to them, didn't they? And they beat them 4-0 or 5-0 in that, right? So there is that cause of like we want to see West Ham do that as well. We want to see West Ham go at them and put them away and put them to the sword, and we just didn't. And I get it. I get the whole thing. I'm just trying to, at the minute, I'm just trying to piece together what.
I think from what this is the thing I don't understand. Right, we seem to have a certain type of fan who just looks at the result, and if it says that we've won, that's all they need. After that, don't care. I don't get it.
Fair enough.
Because I actually like to watch the games, and sometimes I like to go to the games when I can travel across, when work allows it, and all that. Yeah, I don't want to watch snore-inducing football, and I can't watch it and have us win 1-0 and be buzzing. It's the game itself that makes me buzzing, right? So I know there's a happy medium. Don't get me wrong. I don't want us to play, because I'll get accused of this now as well. Someone in the comments is going to say, you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, oh yeah, but what, you want us to go gung-ho and lose 4-3 every week? If the alternative is losing 1-0 every week and falling asleep, yes, thank you. Because we're losing, we're not climbing up the table either way. But yeah, I'd like to see something more akin to, keeping my eyes open for 90 minutes. It's not an either or. You can have both. You can have an entertaining style of football where we're more attacking, and like there's other teams in the Premier League that are doing really well that I like watching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's just interesting.
I really like watching Forest. Like Forest
or Bournemouth.
Bournemouth are really good to watch. They're doing really well this season. It's not an either or, and it's not about going gung-ho and losing 4-3 every week. Nobody likes losing every week. And we wouldn't lose every week. We got good players. We'd win our share of games. We'd do all right. I just can't understand like people who just say, oh, as long as we've won, I don't care. Well, that's fine if you're just checking the results every week and you never actually watch a game. But it matters to me. Like if you're going to be watching it, you'd like to be entertained at least somewhat.
Do you know what? There is a huge thing here, and it's come from stadium move, right? And I think there's a huge, there's a blindingly obvious, matter to all of this is the fact that we moved to that stadium to be a different West Ham, to be a more successful West Ham, and not everyone liked it at the time or likes it, right? But if West Ham were where they said they wanted to put West Ham, which is in the top four, competing at the very top, the very elite, right? You could kind of take it on the chin. You could kind of go, right, okay, it's not good football, but we did move to the stadium to be successful and compete with the elite, and that's what we're trying to do, and that's what we're doing. Then everyone kind of goes, okay, it's not very nice to watch, but this is where we moved, right? But because we're not even doing that, we're basically the same West Ham, but in a different stadium. Then it's like, well, you might as well play. No one knows what the West Ham way is. Yes, they do, actually. If you actually listen to people who actually know about West Ham, there is a West Ham way, right? Whether the media want to convince everyone
if you don't know what the West Ham way is, then I've got to tell you, you're not West Ham.
Well, it's not, all these media and these pundits are trying to convince otherwise. Even there's just a side, like there is a lot of ex West Ham players that I've lost a lot of respect for since what they've come out with in the media. Since I played for West Ham and this, that, and the other. No, you're lying. Basically, you're just being ignorant. Or you come to West Ham.
Yeah. They know what it is. They know exactly what it is.
Of course they know it is. It's not hard. It's not hard to thingy, right? And this is the thing. This is how
they're trying to gaslight people who don't know any better, people who are not West Ham fans. They're just trying to gaslight them to defend their buddy, whether it's Moyes or Potter or whoever. They're just gaslighting people who they know West Ham. They know what the West Ham way is. They know that West Ham fans, most of us at least, know what the West Ham way is. But they probably realise that fans of other teams probably don't know what it is, and so if they deny it, then other fans probably say, "Oh yeah, see, it doesn't even exist." What are they on? There's
that thing of money and success where it clouds people's judgment, and it's if you're winning, why does it matter, right? So you could have someone with a big mansion, amazing sports car, all the life, swimming pool, loads of money, and they're depressed, and they can't work out why they're depressed because of all the big things in the world, right? And then you come to West Ham or whatever, Moyes' You know, last season, but the start of the season, we were in the top 6. Why do you care? You're in the top 6. West Ham never been in the top 6. What do you fans want? Well, if you listen to what they want, they'll tell you. If you listen to what West Ham fans went through at Upton Park, you're not a West Ham fan because you're successful. You're not a West Ham fan because you're trophy hunters. You're a West Ham fan for other reasons. And that is what it comes down to. All you got to do is listen to a genuine West Ham fan, and they'll tell you. And it ain't that hard to work out. And I ain't going to go through it now because it takes too long. I'm too wound up to go into it. But fundamentally, when you see West Ham where they are now, it is no different to when we were at Upton Park. And this was the whole thing. The expectation of the season was that West Ham will probably not be any better than mid-table. So what we want is good football to watch and maybe a cup run, i.e., going to a final. Because that was the if you're not going to do well in the league, try and do well in the cup. Because that's gettable. That's a adrenaline rush. That's
I mean, like, we want to just go and watch Paulo Di Canio play football.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We just want to be entertained. We want to see a bit of flair, a little bit of skill. You know, be entertained.
You don't mind a bit of defending and stuff like that.
Be it, we finish 10th, but we enjoy going to watch the games. We enjoy someone like Di Canio. Players like that who can do something a bit different, Benayoun, bit of skill, you know, seeing the odd cracker of a goal that we score, bit of entertainment. And if we finish 10th, you know, have a decent season, we were always okay with that. We knew we weren't winning the league. We like us to have a go in the cup, you know, see if we can every once in a while maybe just go on and write a cup run and give ourselves an opportunity to maybe win a cup and should remind the world how massive we are. But, you know, we've never really, and I think that's what Miss Smith earlier was missing completely, is that we just, look, we know we're not going to win lots of trophies. We never have. We win a trophy every once in a while. Just law of averages stuff, really. Every once in a while, it took 40 odd years, but, you know, eventually we were probably going to win a trophy somewhere, and we did a couple of years ago. You know, we've never had that much success. You have the odd season, you know, where you have, like, remember 15, 16, we finished, was it 7th? And we all miracle about that season. Not because we won the league, you know, not because we won a cup, because we didn't either. Because we were so good to watch. We just played really entertaining football, and we won a bunch of games, and it was wonderful. And we all still talk about that season. Still.
What we want to see, when you boil it down, what we want to see is we want to see players with skill. We want to see players with courage. We want to see players with work rate. We want to see players that will run through brick walls and wear that shirt with pride. That is basically what it boils down to. That is, in essence, in a very simplistic way of explaining it, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the West Ham way. And if you didn't know that before those words came out of my mouth, like I say, then you're not a West Ham fan, and that's all there is to it. Anyway, look, guys, I've got to disappear because I've got to take the dog for a walk.
Well, no worries. I think we've basically covered everything we had. Before you go, guys, very quickly, I won't ask you for any detail or anything. Wolves game, pessimistic, optimistic? Give us a scoreline. What do you think is going to happen?
1-1 draw.
Yeah, 1-1.
1-1 draw. Bit of a snooze fest, but you know, I suppose away from home, you got to take what you can get.
Yeah, I'm actually going to agree. I had 1-1 in my head as well. We don't concede, but we don't score. So probably like Everton now, it's going to be something similar. Probably every week, unless something changes. I think it's going to be like 0-0s, 1-0 win or loss, 1-1s, very low scoring, very boring, no entertainment. Sadly, that's all, because that's what we've seen so far. So that's all I can expect. But listen, really appreciate you guys joining me. It's been interesting as usual. And to everyone in the chat, even you, Miss Smith, even though you're turning off. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Do you know what? I wonder whether you've pulled.
Yeah, definitely fancies me. You can tell.
Yeah,
it's the ones that abuse you the most, isn't it?
Yeah, I reckon she fancies you, mate.
Gagging for it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Listen, thanks everyone for watching. Please like, comment as well if you're watching this back, and I'll reply to you if I can. I do look at them. I promise.
Especially you, Miss Smith. He'll reply to you.
Listen, thanks very much, guys. And until next time, as always, come on, you are.
Go on, you